Yeah, Vince McMahon. He's being sued, by one of his former employees. This little woman here. She's suing Vince McMahon, saying that he locked her in the WWE headquarters. And really smashed up her cunt. With Brock Lesnar. That's what she's claiming. She's claiming that Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar, really smashed her up. In the WWE headquarters. She said that Vince McMahon, used her to bribe Brock Lesnar, into signing a new contract, with the WWE. And Vince McMahon was sending Brock Lesnar, a load of sexually explicit photos and videos, of this woman here. Trying to lure him into signing a new contract with the WWE. And the woman, she says that Vince McMahon, he's got a load of sex toys, that he names after his favorite wrestlers. So he's got a dildo, that's called Hulk Hogan. He rammed it into her cunt, and bruised up her cunt. Him and Brock Lesnar, they really went all out on her, in the WWE headquarters. So she's suing Vince McMahon. And this woman who's suing Vince McMahon, she said that he had a shit on her head, trying to humiliate her. It's kind of demonic, innit? It's kind of satanic, humiliation ritual type thing, innit? Vince McMahon shitting on her head like that. And he got her to send him a video, of her pissing. So again, it's kind of satanic, man. That's secret society behavior, innit? From Vince McMahon. And when this woman sued Vince McMahon, the police, they went around to his house and the WWE headquarters and they raided him, and they looked at all his files and his phone and, and they found out that he'd already paid $15 million, to a load of other women who worked for the WWE, to try and silence them and make them sign a non-disclosure agreement. But he's got a wife, and Vince McMahon, so he might have just been trying to silence these women, to prevent his wife from finding out, about his sexual activities at the WWE, with all these women. But back in the days, there was this woman referee, who worked for the WWF, when it was called that. She was called Rita, yeah. And she said that Vince McMahon, he forced her to give him oral, in a limousine. And she said that when she refused, she said that he raped her, in the limousine. And she took him to court, yeah, and Vince McMahon, he paid her off, innit? He paid her off. She filed a lawsuit, against Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon, he settled the lawsuit, giving her a few $1 million. But I don't really know if that's admission of guilt, like I've said before. When men just pay a woman off, he's accusing him of sexual assault. They do it sometimes, to try and avoid paying even more, in legal fees and court costs and stuff like that, lawyer fees and all that. So sometimes it's just cheaper, to just pay the woman off, because he'd end up paying more money in the long run. But Vince McMahon is definitely a creep, innit? I remember when he got this woman, to strip, during a WWE wrestling event. He got her to strip, in front of a big crowd full of people. Again, trying to humiliate a woman, in sort of a satanic ritual. Trying to fucking degrade the woman, and just violate her. Getting her to strip in front of a crowd full of men. So he seems to get off on that kind of thing, don't he, Vince McMahon? So maybe he did sexually assault this woman and sex traffic her. Because he got her to send him nudes, yeah. And he sent those nudes, to wrestlers in the WWE. Trying to pimp her out, to a lot of these wrestlers. So she's suing him, for sex trafficking as well. And she said that he recorded her doing certain sexual activities, to prevent her from leaving and getting another job somewhere else, because her reputation would have been tarnished, from her pissing herself. He sent messages, to his wrestlers saying that if you try and bang her, she'll probably say no, but it'll be hard for her to say no, with her dick down her throat. So he's definitely creepy, isn't he, this Vince McMahon? He's definitely a snide, isn't he? And you remember that Owen Hart? How he fell and smashed his head into the corner of the ring, and died. After doing a little stunt, where he was high up, in the stands, and You know, his little safety belt, it didn't work. And he ended up smashing his head, you know, in the fucking ring, and he died. You know, some people who used to work for the WWF, they said that Vince McMahon, you know, did that deliberately, you know, to try and draw some publicity, you know, to the WWF. They say that Vince McMahon, you know, got people to like unattach the safety belt, you know, that Owen Hart was wearing, you know, so that he would fall into the ring, you know, and smash his face, you know, and die. You know, so it will drum up a lot of publicity, you know, for the WWF. That's what some people were saying, you know, he used to work for Vince McMahon. Because, like, he got fined, you know, by the widow of Owen Hart, and he had to, like, pay her $18 million. But, you know, the publicity that he got, you know, from that little death, it might have been more than $18 million. It might have been worth much more than that. You know, from the publicity that he got from the death of Owen Hart. But I don't know about that. Seems a bit far-fetched, but, you know, getting that woman to strip in front of all those people in the crowd is a bit satanic, you know, a bit demonic. And like, he used to have this wrestler, you know, called Nails. I used to love wrestling, you know, back in the days. And there was a wrestler called Nails, and I've still got him, you know, I've still got a wrestling figure of him. And like, you know, this Nails, he took Vince McMahon to court, you know, saying that Vince McMahon like forced him to take steroids. But, you know, the judge and the jury, they kind of dismissed it, you know, and they said that that Nails, he was just like bitter, you know, because he wasn't getting paid enough from Vince McMahon. So they threw the case out. But that Vince McMahon, he's kind of like Dana White, innit? You know, some of Dana White's fighters, they've had similar problems, you know, with Dana White saying he hasn't paid them properly. And like, you know, Dana White and Vince McMahon, they've like formed a coalition, haven't they? You know, the TKO group, they've kind of formed like a coalition, man. So they seem to be part of the same little circle. You know, Dana White, he kind of shortchanged his fighters, didn't he? You know, and it's probably the same with Vince McMahon, innit? You know, shortchanging his fighters. Well, yeah, he's definitely suspect, innit, this Vince McMahon. So we'll see how this lawsuit goes, you know, with Vince McMahon and this woman. But I don't know, it's, you know, with some of these women, it's, you know, there's a little feminist saying, believe all women, but that's bullshit, man. You know, that Johnny Depp, he kind of went through it, didn't he? You know, with that Amber Heard. You know, and when it went to court, you know, Johnny Depp, he had like secret recordings, you know, of what took place in the house. Because she claimed that he was violent towards her, you know, and verbally as well as physically abusive. But, you know, that Johnny Depp, he kind of brought all the tapes, you know, to court. And the court kind of seen that it was that Amber Heard, you know, who was physically and verbally and mentally abusive, you know, towards Johnny Depp. So he kind of got dropped, you know what I mean? Similar with that Andrew Tate, innit? He was kind of accused of sex trafficking, but, you know him, he kind of shown evidence, you know, that these women who claim that Andrew Tate kidnapped them and human trafficked them. Andrew Tate shown tapes, you know, of the women leaving his property, you know, to go out and get a few little pizzas. So these women were free to leave, but they came back, didn't they, you know, with the pizzas and that, and they was acting all fucking pally, you know, with Andrew Tate, you know what I mean? So Andrew Tate's case, it don't really seem to have gone anywhere. It seems to have kind of died down, hasn't it? You know what I mean? First he got arrested and locked up. Then he got let out and got put on house arrest. You know, and now he's not even on house arrest. So that seems to have died out, innit? So this fucking woman here who's accusing Vince McMahon, you know, of like sexually assaulting her and all that. You know, I don't know. It's hard to know what to believe, innit? Because like, you know, this woman here, basically, Vince McMahon, he made her sign a non-disclosure agreement, you know, for $3 million. But he only paid her like $1 million. So because he only paid her $1 million, that's why she's bringing up this lawsuit. And she's suing Vince McMahon, you know, because he didn't fully pay her. But then later on, she's like saying, well, I just wanted to sue him, you know, to prevent other women at the WWE from experiencing what I've experienced. But which one is it? Are you suing him, you know, to protect other women, or are you suing him because he didn't pay you the $3 million, you know, that you was expecting to receive from him? Because like, if he would have paid her $3 million instead of $1 million, she probably wouldn't have said anything. So then other women at the WWE could have been sexually assaulted by Vince McMahon. So what is it? Is she trying to protect other women, or is she just more concerned about getting her $3 million? You know, that she was promised by Vince McMahon. You know, it's hard to know what to believe, isn't it? But see how it goes anyway. See how it goes. But yeah, that'll do anyway. I'm going to wrap it up, yeah. Thanks for tuning in again, yeah. Thanks for that.